Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Have you heard that there's water some would die to find?
So we're recording in Chupadero, New Mexico.
Chupadero.
In beautiful hillsides, I don't know what it's called exactly, outside of Santa Fe.
I guess it's Chupadero Village.
In a studio called Kitchen Sink, and it's John O'Manson's place, and he's one of the first people I met when I moved to Santa Fe.
I'm John O'Manson. I am the engineer here at the Kitchen Sink in beautiful Chupadero, New Mexico, located in the hills above fashionable Santa Fe.
We're talking right here, right above the studio. It's just right down there, and I mean, there's nothing around here, you know.
This is an amazing place. Just the vibe here. There's a certain kind of studio that's kind of the remote studio, the idea being that the artists and the musicians come and they sort of seclude themselves and from the outside world and really work on their art together, and that's exactly what's been happening here.
It's a great place. We've been here twice now. We did his last recording, Fire in My Head, here, and it's cool. It's the old West in a way.
So part of why we're here is because of the setting. You know, like you step out for a break and there's stars everywhere and the sun is setting and it's just beautiful.
There's a wishing well, be my wishing well. Oh, I'm setting sail again. The seas are high, the winds are strong.
Well, going into it, I kind of had a rough idea of how we'd set it up. Each song has got a different setup, so it's not like a recording a rock band where you set up the band once, press record, and then let it go. Each song, there's a lot of subtle nuance, so I find myself running around and changing things regularly.
With the other records, I had written the songs, and a lot of them we had performed for a while before recording, so we really knew somewhat what we were doing when we got in here. And with the exception of Wishing Well and that song Father, Father, which we're calling To the Sea, I hadn't played any of these songs before, and a few of them I had just written, like I hardly had written in time to get into the studio, and the guys hadn't heard them at all.
I mean, it's such a blur right now because we've been just going, but there's a couple of the ones that we did yesterday that really took an unexpected direction. We've re-envisioned David's song Broken Crown, which he recorded for his last album, and that really is coming together beautifully. And there's another song that we did at the end of the day yesterday called Setting Sail Again that is just magical.
It's interesting because in the process of making a record, very often songs that when you heard at the beginning, you thought they were okay but weren't necessarily the ones. Then something magic happens in the recording, like Setting Sail is one.
One of my favorite parts about recording is being surrounded by these amazing musicians and figuring out the best way to make these songs into big, beautiful creations.
Yeah, my heart is calm tonight. I've been looking so long, wasn't sure for what. I was wondering what's wrong, always wrong side up. You can see me on the corner.
Dinosaurs and Sages. The name might change, I don't know. But that's what it's called right now. And when David showed me his demo, I liked it a lot. I think it's a cool thing. And then when we played it as a band, this whole other thing happened. And it was really cool to just have everyone's contribution all of a sudden just be like, wham, here it is. It's great. A couple of tunes actually came out that way.
I tried in the studio to let them contribute ideas and parts, and so that we could get the most out of everybody. And so far, that's been the most fun for me is seeing these songs grow and change and shift and allowing that to happen. It would be a real shame if I brought these guys in and then told them what to play, because no doubt they're going to come up with a lot of cooler things than I will.
Usually I show up to recording sessions with like 13, 14 bags, and I go overboard, and then I have all the stuff I can choose from. There's a local drummer named Mark Clark who provided all this stuff in there, like at least half of the stuff in there, if not more, is his. And it's really amazing. I opened the bags, and I looked at the bags, and I looked inside, I was like, this guy's like me. I even brought some of the same things.
Bill Titus, guitar player with David Berkeley's ensemble.
Bill Titus, of course, he's been with me now for a few years, few great years. And he's come to know my music as well as anyone. He has just such this atmospheric world on guitar that is unlike any other guitarist I've ever met. He can rip solos and play anything that people think of as electric guitar, but he also can create these worlds and this amazing delay and reverb sound that is so beautiful. He's a classical player, and he plays some classical on this record too, but even when he's playing electric, he brings that sense of touch and melody to the project. And then Will Robertson on bass and some keys. He played some Wurlitzer piano and some organ. He plays upright and electric. And I know Will from Atlanta.
I'm Will Robertson, and I'm playing bass and keyboards.
We worked together. He produced and recorded my song Fire Sign, and then he produced and recorded Some Kind of Cure. And whenever I play down in the Southeast, he's still the guy who I play with. It's nice to have him. He's not the producer of this record. We're kind of co-producing, and he's not engineering, so he doesn't have that pressure, but he still comes to the process with those ears and that kind of sense, and he has a lot of great contributions in that regard.
My name is Matthias Künzli, and I play drums and percussion.
I mean, I think he's been the biggest surprise, because I didn't know him as well as the other guys, and as a drummer and percussionist, he's incredible. He has such a pocket and such a great feel on the kit, and then he has just a ton of different sounds, and he uses his mouth and his body and everything.
Me and all that I can be, and you can go anytime.
Jordan Cass. Really? Am I supposed to answer in the third person? Yes? Jordan, like that? Or should I? Really? You're not gonna talk? Jordan played the banjo and the trumpet. He's been with me a long time. He's been with me for about 7 years. I met David. Really? 7 years.
And lately I've been noticing the light in the morning, my body next to you.
We did everything live, which is just to say we played it all at the same time, at least the basic track. So I was in a little isolation room with guitar and vocal only. Bill had his guitars in the main room, but his amp was in an isolation room, and Matthias on drums was in the main room. Will was on bass. If he was playing upright, he was in an isolation booth. If he was playing electric, he was in the main room too, but his amp was elsewhere. So we could all hear each other and play together, even though our sounds were all isolated. And now we're going back, and then we're adding things. I might redo some vocals and guitar. I'll do some background vocals. Bill's gonna play more guitars. Jordan's now playing trumpet.
He just got a bunch of great musicians in the room. We sat down, rehearsed the songs, and then all set up and just recorded them. I mean, for some of these takes were literally the fourth or fifth time we'd ever played it together. And it just, we listened to the whole thing last night, and I think we were all just pretty floored by the results.
Oh, You know I'll never let you go. I won't let you go. From so high to so low. Look out.
So the album will come out with a book, hopefully packaged together, and the two very much are linked. You know, so each song has a story that goes behind the song, kind of like my Goats book, except these stories are fiction.
The songs are essentially the characters of the book made into songs. And we recorded them that way. At least David and I talked about making the songs have their own character, distinct. Not, okay, well, we've got drums, bass, and guitar, just do that every time. So each song we tried to, you know, say, not consciously, oh, what would this character sound like? No, just a little difference for each one.
But I feel like we all of us, you know, just these basic tracks, we all found a very distinct sound / character for each of the songs, which I think is pretty cool.
Did you have a chance to read the book?
Yes, he did.
Did you like it?
Not sure he did. I don't know if I'm going to sequence the record and the book in the same way. I kind of think I might not, and let the reader or the listener kind of figure out for themselves which one goes with which. But I will say that writing these songs for this book has been really a really different process for me than writing just my own songs for me, because I was forced to get into the mindset of a different person, even if the person is someone that I created. And so I think that there's a different range of emotion on this record, which I wasn't as aware of after I had just written the songs, but I'm very aware of now that we've recorded a bunch of them. There's a little bit more anger, and there's more loneliness in some of these songs than I would have brought if it was just my world. And so that's exciting.
Yeah, I got a hole in my heart. Yeah, I got a hole in my heart. Yeah, I got a hole in my heart.
Is there something about David Berkeley that you could tell me that people might not know about him?
Father, Father,
He is semi-handy with tools.
That's not true.
open up
I'm terrible with tools.
Yeah, well, the most unlikely thing about him, if you know anything about David, is that he is a huge fan of the New York Giants, which is completely, has nothing to do with the rest of his personality.
Yeah, that's actually that's a real surprise. That was a surprise to my wife too. I didn't reveal that until after we got actually married, that I let the fan side come over.
David is interesting, period. He is but everybody knows that, like, you know.
Did Matthias talk about the horseshoes? He did?
He's a good horseshoe player. I don't know, what else? Yeah. He plays with open cards. I like that. You know, he comes here and he's very open. He's easy to read and super, warm host.
So I'm really happy with being here, and I think that you'll see the results sonically, and just the vibe is perfect up here.
Oh, I have found my way back to you. Please find your way back to me. Please find your way back to me. Please find your way back to me. Father, 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 I am home.
Good rehearsal for the last couple of days, guys. Let's make a good record. Can you? 3 days of rehearsal, 3.5 days of rehearsal, and 3 hours of recording. There's the ratio.